At war! We are at war!
I promise you that I'll look after him. And if I can, I'll return him to your care.
He's my also.
I was wondering why you think that the book and the play have they've resonated with so many audiences. What do you think it is about them?
I think in England, the First World War is such a bruise on our national psyche. Every family has a story of young men lost. Very different from the Second World War, because in the Second World War there was a very clear moral imperative to beat the Nazis. The First World War there wasn't, it was just slaughter. So there's a very strong connection with that, and we also have a very strong bond with horses. The combination of those two is so powerful. And Michael Morpurgo is such a loved author for children, and he writes, I heard him talking about this, he doesn't write to children, for the children, he writes about children.
And how are you going to train a horse with that leg?
I'll train him.
Well, you stay out of this, Albie, you don't know nothing about horses.
Please, Mum. Please let me, I can do it. You have to keep him.
What do you think that your character saw in the horse that made you feel so connected to him?
I think Albert is, you know, he's got this incredible innocence that I don't think we really get anymore today. You know, this is before television, before mobile phones, before the internet. You know, it's a real, yeah, this real innocence. But he's also incredibly lonely. You know, back then he's grown up in a part of England which is very isolated. You know, you just wouldn't see people outside your small little community. You know, he's got one good friend, doesn't have any brothers or sisters. So when this horse comes into his life, this horse becomes all of that. This horse becomes his brother, you know, and that's kind of how I saw it. You know, I didn't really have a close childhood pet growing up, but I've got two younger brothers, and you know, the scenes when, you know, that the horse is taken away from you, I think I kind of used a lot of that, yeah.
And you had a great-grandfather who was in World War I,
yeah,
with a beloved horse.
Right, yeah, I mean...
Did you know that before you went for the role?
I didn't, no, I didn't. I mean, I knew he was in the First World War, you know, as we were saying, it's not a remarkable thing to have relations in England especially who were in the First World War, you know, nearly everyone does.
Yeah.
That's not the remarkable thing. What is bizarre is the fact that he had this horse throughout the First World War, he survived the First World War, and then at the end, when the horse was being auctioned off, as they were, he bought the horse back off the army for exactly the same amount of money, almost, as Albert does.
Like the happy ending.
Yeah, well, hey, and this horse lived out the rest of his life. You know, I've got the receipt for the horse. It's
You have
incredible.
the receipt?
I do, yeah, I have the receipt they got it with, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And speaking of beginnings, this is your first film, and it's with Steven Spielberg. Do you ever think, maybe I should have warmed up with some indies first?
Yeah. I should have warmed up with some work, full stop. You know, my experience has mostly been in theatre and small little shows.
Sure.
And, you know, this was... My American agents phoned me up while I was filming and sort of asked me how film school was going, and I think that's kind of what it was, you know, with the greatest film teacher you could ask for, really, so yeah.
And Emily, for your first film, you were Oscar nominated for Breaking the Waves. Do you rub that in his face and say, you know, you've got a lot to live up to?
No, but I look at him now and I can see just the utter bewilderment of, you know, entering in a world, you feel you've fallen into this world by accident and all this stuff is coming at you.
Yeah.
And I just wish you well. Just a steady head and feet on the ground, and it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's my on-set mummy.
Yeah.